Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new edition of our online interview series. We want to talk today for an update with Adventus Mining, and Christian Kargl-Simard, the CEO, is here with us this morning. Good morning to Canada. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good to be on with you again, Jochen.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time early in the morning here for an update. I think it's really important because your company, is really producing drill results, which I have seen, to be honest, very, very seldom. And if I look here, the last 4 to 6 weeks, like you brought out over 17 meters, like over 7% copper, 5.4 grams gold, 3.4% zinc, over 107 grams, and which is an equivalent of 13.61% copper equivalent, and lots of those results really going on. And I think this is from Domo, of course. So what is really going on there? What is the status, and what do we see here in let's say in the development phase you are now, because you want to bring out a feasibility study by the end of the year latest, right?
Yes, Jochen. I'll start in the drill results first. They are the highest grade copper equivalent results in the world. No question over this period and really over the last few years. This is an extremely high grade volcanic massive sulfide deposit, and it's important to point out that these drill results are almost all between 40 to 90 meters below surface. So they're in our open pit. So when you combine those grades with open pit, you can imagine the economics of this project are very, very strong. And I tell shareholders that this is the most economic copper development project in the world as a result. And I'm not lying when I say that. The numbers are pointing towards a current spot pricing, mid-60s% after-tax IRR, and NPV 8 of 500 million US. And that is versus our current market cap of around 130 million Canadian, and our enterprise value of less than 100 million Canadian. So the value disconnect is significant. Now you add that to the development timetable. So we're just in the process of pulling off the 6 drill rigs on El Domo. We're done all the drilling we need to make a construction decision, and of course complete the feasibility study and the environmental assessment, which is on track. So feasibility study expected in October, and filing of the environmental social impact assessment by the end of September. Everything we've seen is the feasibility study should be stronger than our preliminary economic assessment that we completed in June 2019. We did complete a pre-feasibility study with the same engineers that are doing the fees. That's for internal use only, but the numbers were better than the PEA using the same price deck, which is very rare in our space. And then separately, because that PFS is such a strong document locking in orientation of the project, we have had very strong discussions on the project finance side. I mean, there's a ton of interest to finance this project. We're only looking at about 175 million US to build this mine. And there are many different ways to get to that number, whether it be debt, that the payback at current pricing is just over a year, or streaming. This is textbook streaming with 40 to 45% of the revenues coming from precious metals. So you could definitely gear this project significantly and still be in the safety margins. And I think the market may be surprised here over the next few months, well before the feasibility study, to see basically a fully financed project with very little equity required to then put the project into production. So the momentum on this project is really, really strong. I sleep very well at night with all of the interesting things going on.
Fantastic. Yeah. And honestly, I'm also a shareholder of the company, and I'm really happy to be so. And I have also the feeling that this is, it really looks exceptional what you have brought out here. So that would mean that you can do the financing with, of course, a minimum of dilution, because you have so much, not only precious metals, but I would say also the zinc content, for example, but also the silver content plus the lead. I could imagine to generate here streams for concentrates and stuff like that. That must be enormous, right?
We have such a long list of options. It's really exciting. Yeah, for example, you talk about offtake. We haven't sold any of the offtake rights for our products. I would say in the last 6 months we've had incoming conversations with at least a dozen groups, maybe 15 groups wanting our concentrate. We're not desperate to sell that concentrate. It's a very clean product. And frankly, we don't really want to until we are well into construction. But I tell the groups that if you come with an offtake deal that has significant value add from a cost of capital perspective, whether it be on non-equity or the equity front, I'll consider it. So there's a concept of a group coming in and buying, say, $5 million to $10 million in the market to get, part of the offtake. That's not off the table. And that could be, one of the many catalysts that we're working on in the background. So I think that our path between here and the feasibility study in October really has us hitting all-time highs by the end of the summer and into the fall, just on that.
Okay, that is a really great prognosis here, and I like to hear that, of course. I mean, we have also a price target for you guys already of $2.50, just based on my chart analysis, but I think you are really delivering that stuff. So if we move a little bit further, you have also done regional exploration, and Pihili is also something which is still in the play, but we have not heard that much of that project so far. What's the status there? What's going on?
Well, part of the thesis here, along with El Domo, is for us to make a significant discovery in Ecuador. And we have 3 projects. So that's the area around El Domo that is unexplored, with 15 targets. Pihili, which is a porphyry district that has 18 geophysical targets never drilled, and Santiago, which is the big, really exciting porphyry target, which is analogous to Solaris's Warintza. So we have been drilling over the last 6 to 8 months at Pihili on the first of 18 targets. We have about 8 holes left to release to the market, which should be coming out over the next 2 months. As we have drilled to the northern part of our first target, the vein density has improved, the mineralization has improved. I won't say any more than that, so you got to wait for the results, but that is still coming in the next couple of months. Separately, we've been doing the groundwork to finalize the drill targets at the next 3 geophysical targets within the Pihili district. That's ready to go. We should have a release on those 3 targets over the next few weeks, and it's exciting. So it's not just one target you hit or you miss and you move on kind of thing. This is a strategic district that we've been putting together surrounding Southern Copper's 1.5 billion ton porphyry in feasibility. That's as large as Cobre Panama, and that's the kind of mineralization potential we have in the district. At Santiago, this is our, might be the company making asset. We have been working on community relations, social license to operate. That's going very well. We expect to have a drill turning in July.
Okay, super. What does it then mean if we come already, let's say, to the valuation shortly here? Because I still think the market cap of your company is quite too low for what you have so far. Do you think it is maybe a little bit of a problem, let's say, that on the one hand, maybe the feasibility is missing, but on the other hand, you are in Ecuador, and Ecuador has elections. Do you think that the country risk is a bit, too high figured into the market, into the low market cap?
Well, when the first round of the Ecuadorian elections came through about a month ago, the first week after elections, where it was unsure what the results were going to be, there was some uncertainty in the market. The second place candidate was not the best friend of mining. That was unexpected. We lost probably 3 million shares from institutions that week because of that uncertainty. But in the end, when the results were verified, the 2 candidates that have moved on to the second round on April 11th are the ones that were expected. They are pro-mining. We think either of them will be better than the current government. And I think there's a disconnect still in the market between those that are operating in Ecuador, have relationships with the candidates, and what is exactly going on, versus the high-level headlines from Financial Times or Bloomberg or the famous IKN blog, who said, sell everything Ecuador the week after that initial result. So I think all Ecuadorian-related mining stocks have been hurt from a liquidity perspective as a result of this disconnect in the market, except for Solaris. Solaris keeps on chugging along with world-class drill results. But I think it will all be sorted out over the next few months, and I do think this is a buying opportunity in the market. I believe that the stock right now should be $150, $160, just on El Domo, so call it a 200 million plus market cap. Going towards your target over the next few years, and then anything exploration-wise is just additive to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. See the same way. And also what we really should not forget, it is easy to say sell Ecuador because there is, let's say, some political irritations. But finally, every government needs jobs, they need taxes, and they need work for their people, right? And so you guys will be a very good miner, a very also ESG-related miner for the future. That's also for sure, as you just touched on it already with community relations and things like that. So what would be then now the, let's say, larger time plan to go into production, given the fact that you would get the project finance, where I have no doubt, despite the maybe a little bit too low market cap by now, but this will change, I'm also sure. And given the fact that you will present a fabulous feasibility study.
Well, the project finance facility, I think, will be a watershed moment for our company and the share price. I think a lot of people think, well, great project, but how are they going to finance and how much equity dilution are they going to have? So that's going to be answered shortly. Having the project finance in hand will also improve our leverage in terms of negotiating with the Ecuador the final permits. You also need to, investors cannot forget about our third largest shareholder, Nobis. Nobis is the largest industrial conglomerate in Ecuador. They have strong relationships with either presidential candidates, and no president in Ecuador has run in the last 70 plus years without having a good relationship with Nobis. So that is a key factor here in all of this. Because this project is not rate limited by finance, it's really by getting that final permit signed off by the government. We are full speed ahead with the project. We're looking to start construction in October of 2022. We have assumed 1 year for the environmental permit approval, but of course we're going to try to shorten that with all of our stakeholders in Ecuador, which leads us to initial production in first quarter of 2024.
Mm-hmm. This is, of course, not so far away. We have a little bit of a connection problem here, I think. But this is not really that far away. And I think you are then coming really right into the time framing for copper, for base metals, also for silver, as this will be one of the real tops then for e-mobility. And so I think this is absolutely perfect. So very important is for me the question, what is cash in the bank? Are you able to do that without another raise? Do you have the cash really to deliver and fulfill until you have the project finance?
Yeah, we have lots of cash in the bank, Jochen. September 30th balance was 38 million plus $7 million in investments. We're now down to around 25 million plus $7 million investments Canadian. That's sufficient to take us to a construction light decision, which we hope to make January or February of 2022. So we don't expect to go to the market until end of next year, early next year, end of this year, early next year. And it definitely will be at prices significantly higher than our last raise of $1.27 compared to the current price of $1.05. So we don't have any pressure on that. And of course, the question is, are we going to be still around a year from now? Maybe there's no equity financing ever in the history of this company going forward. As you can imagine, this is a unicorn type project globally. And you touched on ESG. Well, because you got high grade, you don't have to move as many tons to produce the same amount of metal. All the electricity or the majority of electricity in Ecuador is hydroelectric, and we're close to the port, so not a lot of trucking distance. And this project has no controversial aspects either. No indigenous, low elevation, don't need to move anybody, no watersheds, no major towns, all of this kind of stuff. So we are trying to really highlight with the feasibility study some of these ESG aspects that is so important in this day and age, which we can add to already a great story.
Mm-hmm. Okay, super. So, if I understand that correct, you are already on the M&A radar as a target.
Well, of course, being unicorn with copper being 410, 420 a pound, absolutely. The cash flow, life of mine cash flow of this company, as our feasibility study is trending, is very similar to what Silvercrest Metals recently had in their feasibility study in Mexico. That's a 1.6, 1.7 billion market cap. We're 100 million for the same life of mine free cash flow, or very similar, right? So you can imagine we would have interest from base metal producers as well as precious metal producers.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. So that would mean there's lots of room and upside potential for the share price.
Absolutely.
Super. Yeah, Christian, thank you very much. That is a great update. And yeah, it looks like that everything is really going the perfect way. I mean, you really underpin that with your fabulous results as said, but I think it's also very important what you said with Nobis. This is something for me as a company maker, as a game changer to the positive side, of course, because I think in countries like Ecuador or elsewhere where we are not, let's say, in the first world, let's call it like that, you really need that support from influential groups or big groups which are really working also for the best interest in the country. And yeah, it looks like with Salazar and Nobis and all the other good shareholders you guys have, it really looks outstanding.
I agree with you.
Super. Thank you very much. All the best. And please keep us updated. And I have a very good feeling that we talk quite soon because a lot of the results will come out. And also then we will see what else is going on your regional exploration.
Sounds good.
Super. Thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Christian Kargl-Simard, the CEO of Adventus Mining. Yeah, you heard it. The company is really heavily undervalued, and I see it absolutely the same way. We told you already the last months is that we see the stock closer to $2.50 than to the current level where it is today, between $1.03 and $1.05 around. And really, the company is doing extremely well. Those are, yeah, some of the best drill results I've ever seen in the world here for such a project. Don't forget it's open pit and the capex is well below 200 million US dollars. So this is really makeable and really finance and really good to finance. And I can imagine that a lot of companies are already queuing in front of the office door of Adventus to really get a deal signed with them. And as he said, it looks like a bit that the M&A radar is also switched on. So I would suggest you really have a very close look on this fantastic company and maybe time to get into the game here. So thanks for watching us and bye-bye from Switzerland.